All. Today we are going to discuss about the blue planet. Yes, this blue planet is our Earth. But did ever this thing come into your mind कि why do we call our Earth as a blue planet? Yes, we call it a blue planet due to the presence of water on it. बच्चे आप लोगों को पता होना चाहिए कि around 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Right? It can be the drinking water, it can be the water in the rivers, it can be the water in the lakes, in the ponds, in the seas, in the oceans. So 70% of our earth is covered with water. That means around 3/4 of our earth. Dear students, so this makes 70% of the earth is water and 30% is land. So 3/4 of our earth is made up of water. You know that very well, that water that has no impurity at all is known as a pure water. Pure water is very important constituent of food. Every cell in our body also contains 90% of water. You should be remembering that. Necessary to maintain the fluidity of the blood, water is essential for digestion, for excretion, for maintaining the body temperature. So water is really very useful. Water is even useful for washing, for clothing, right? You should also not forget that 78% of the earth is composed of water, right? Now, dear students, let's see about the importance of water. Almost 71% of the earth is covered with water in the form of oceans, in the form of rivers, in the form of lakes. But very less amount of water is potable. Very less amount of the water is a fresh water. That's why we say that there is scarcity of water. Rest of the water is either impure or it is a sea water, that is a saline water. You should remember that. और saline water potable नहीं होता, हम उसको सीधा पी नहीं सकते हैं. What we can drink is only the fresh water, right? Let's see to it. About 3/4 surface of the earth is covered with water. Rivers, lakes, ponds, seas are the main sources of water. You all know it. Water is not only present on the earth, it is also present in our body, right? Water changes its state either by the process of heating and cooling. And this we had seen it earlier. You know it very well that water can occur in 3 different states. It can be solid, it can be liquid, it can be the gaseous form of water. When I talk about solid water is when it is frozen. Cooling से बनता है ये, ice. अगर हम liquid water को cool कर देते हैं refrigerator में, we had already seen in the video, in the last to last video, so that might be clear to you. जब आप इसको cool कर देते हो तो ये ice freeze up हो जाती है, water freeze up हो जाता है और ice में convert हो जाता है. This states it is a solid state of water, right? Now liquid state is wet and it is fluid. Fluid means जो जल्दी से flow out हो जाता है. Is that clear? A liquid form of water we can find from a running tap, you can find from the lakes, you can find in rivers, in oceans, right? Next is a gaseous form of water. Yes, when we heat water, it turns out into the vapor. या हमारे जो ponds हैं, हमारे जो oceans हैं, उनसे water evaporate होकर sky में चला जाता है and form the clouds, right? So that water vapor is the gaseous form of water. Now, dear students, we are going to discuss about the evaporation. What do you understand by evaporation? The sun heats the water and changes it into the water vapor. You know it very well. The process is called evaporation. What do you call it? Evaporation. बच्चे evaporation faster rate पे पता है कब होता है? यहाँ तो जब temperature का level बहुत high है, या जब एक बहुत bigger area is exposed to water. एक बहुत बड़ा area है water का जो water ने cover किया हुआ है under an open sky, तब evaporation बहुत fast होती है. यहाँ जब air is very dry, yeah, when the wind blows at a faster rate. So these are the cases where the evaporation takes place. I'll show you an examples also for this. Water vapors form after evaporation of water, and which form what? Clouds. And these clouds are responsible for the rains. I'm talking about a water cycle here. Water cycle occurs due to this. First of all, you have water. Water evaporates due to the heat of the sun. It forms particularly the water vapors, then condenses, then again they start rain, precipitation and then rain. Is that clear? So water vapor also forms fog, mist, dew and snow. See to it, what happens during evaporation? Water turns from a liquid to a gas. जब हम लोग हीट करते हैं ना, एक केटल को हीट कर रहे हो, तो जो लिक्विड होता है वो किस में टर्न हो जाता है? वाटर वेपर्स में. Water moves from the rivers and lakes into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor only. And water vapor form what? Clouds. And these clouds can even be turned, or water vapors can be turned into a solid. You know how? When they pass through a cool atmosphere, then they can even, आप लोगों को कभी बारिश आती है तो कई बार हम लोग स्नोफॉल देखने जाते हैं. So this is particularly because of the changes in the form of water vapor, right? So, dear students, evaporation can be from the large surface of water, like it is taking here from the oceans. Then it can be due to the heating process. Whatever you see, if there is a larger area exposed, then you particularly have a greater evaporation. The rate of evaporation increases on increasing the surface area on the liquid. Always remember, the rate of evaporation can be increased by increasing the surface of the liquid. This should always be kept in your mind. अगर एक liquid area बहुत बड़ा होगा, वहाँ पर evaporation भी जल्दी होगी, क्योंकि greater area is exposed to the sun, to the heat. Is that? Now, dear students, let's watch evaporation practically. We can understand it with the help of some activities. Let's start with activity 1. आप लोगों ने 2 dishes लेनी है. One is a flat dish, that is a shallow dish. Another is a glass. Take equal amount of water in there, right? You know what is going to happen? After 2 or 3 days, the water in the shallow dish evaporates fast. Why? Did ever this thing come to your mind? Yes, due to the surface area. The surface area of a shallow dish is large. That's why evaporation takes place faster. Second activity, wash your hands, right? After washing your hands, we have to dry them in front of the fan. See the flow of the air. The flow of the air is fast in front of the fan. That's why our hands dry fast. So the rate of evaporation increases due to the flow of the air or breeze that is circulated by the fan. Let's see the activity number 3. In this activity, wash your hands again. This time, you don't have to dry it. Just keep your hands like this in front of the exposed area. You know, what are you going to see? You're sitting inside a room. Airflow is not much. So, automatically, the hands dry slower as there is no air or breeze. Now, dear students, if you sweat, you were outside in the sun, you were sweating, you come home, sit below the fan. You know what is going to happen? The sweat dries off fast. Again, it is due to the flow of the air. The sweat has evaporated. So it is the flow of the air that helps in evaporation. The rate of evaporation is faster when the temperature is high, when the surface area is large, when there is the flow of air. So now, dear students, let's start with the condensation. When hot water vapors, that is steam, get cooled, then they again transform into the tiny water droplets. This means this is again changing the form of water on cooling, right? Water अपने form को दोबारा से cooling पे change कर लेता है. From vapor, it turns out into a water that is in the liquid form. We had seen it practically earlier. So, but clouds are also formed when water vapor condenses into the tiny water droplets. You should be knowing it. This is condensation. Water gets evaporated, goes up into the clouds, gets converted into the into these water vapors, right? अब जब बहुत सारे droplets यहाँ पर collect हो जाते हैं, clouds heavy हो जाते हैं, then the rain starts, right? So water form the clouds in the sky, and this is a case of condensation. Let me show you some more examples. See a hot kettle. एक हॉट केटल को जब हम लोग पहले केटल को बॉईल कर रहे हैं वाटर इन द केटल इज बीइंग बॉइल्ड, अब उसको हमने बंद कर दिया. नाउ वी हैव क्लोज्ड इट, वी हैव पुट अ लिड ऑन इट. आफ्टर सम टाइम ऑन कूलिंग, on the sides of a kettle or inside the kettle, what we find a tiny droplets of water. This is why, because temperature has changed. So the steam collected inside gets converted into the water droplets. Students, we got to know about the impurities then. So water has some impurities present in them, which are either insoluble impurities, which can be seen through our naked eyes, soluble impurities, which can be only seen with the help of a microscope, and either there are some microbes. So we are going to talk about these three types of the impurities present in the water, and we will even see which methods we will follow to forego these impurities, to clean the water from these impurities. Now, dear students, let's talk about the impurities. The substances that pollute the water are called water impurities. सारी substances जिसके कारण से हमारा water pollute होता है, उनको हम लोग water impurities बोलते हैं. Water is being polluted by throwing the waste into the rivers, oil, leakage by the water transports, water coming from the drains from our houses. So बच्चे ये सारा water धीरे धीरे जाकर mix up हो जाता है into the rivers, which further go and meet the seas and the oceans. जिसके कारण से there is the polluted water in front of us. So dear students, let's see how can we remove the insoluble impurities from the water. Insoluble impurities means those impurities that can be seen with our naked eyes. Like it can be some sand, it can be some gravel, it can be some stones, some leaves. So, dear students, there are three ways with the help of which we can remove the impurities. The first is known as what? It is known as sedimentation. What do you call it? Sedimentation. Second is known as decantation. And the third is known as filtration. So, we have the three processes which we can use to overcome or remove the insoluble impurities from water. What are they? Sedimentation. Then they are particularly the sedimentation. Then from the sedimentation we have decantation, and finally we have the filtration. So we are going to discuss these in detail now. Now dear students, let's take some steps to remove the impurities from water. आप लोगों को पता है कि आपने एक बीकर लेना है और उस बीकर के अंदर यू हैव टू मिक्स सम सैंड एंड वाटर. हमने थोड़ा सा सैंड और हम लोगों ने थोड़ा सा वाटर यहाँ पर मिक्स कर देना है. अगर आप थोड़े थोड़े पार्टिकल्स देखोगे, ये देखो यहाँ पर सैंड पार्टिकल्स दिख रहे हैं आपको. इज दैट क्लियर? सो दीज राउंड के अंदर जो भी हैं ये सारे आपके पास सैंड पार्टिकल्स हैं. यू नो व्हाट आर वी पीपल गोइंग टू डू? वी आर गोइंग टू लीव दैट मिक्सचर फॉर सम टाइम. हम इसको रेस्ट करने देते हैं. And after some time, do you know what you see? You have a clear water up, and at the bottom we see that there is a layer of sand. The sand settles below and the clear water is above. So this is known as sedimentation. But let's see what is sedimentation once again. Sedimentation is a process in which the insoluble heavy particles in a liquid are allowed to settle down at the bottom of a container. Let's see to it. If we check it out, we had a mixture of water, of sand and water. So हम लोगों ने क्या किया? We just provided some time, and once we provided some time, what do we find? We find that we have the two layers now. One is a layer of a clean water, right? So let me explain it to you. This is a layer of a clean water, and the other layer is particularly the layer of a sand. Is that clear? So the sand particles get settled at the bottom of the beaker. So this is known as sedimentation. I repeat it once again. Sedimentation is a natural process in which the particles is carried to the bottom of the body of water and forms a solid layer. Is that clear? Where does the sand settle? At the bottom. And where is a clear water? Above. Is that clear? So this process is known as sedimentation. Now let's move to the second step, that is decanting. बच्चे decanting can be done only once आप लोगों के पास यहाँ पर sedimentation हो चुका है. अब आपके पास जो बीकर था जिसमें ऊपर क्लियर वाटर था, हमने अब इसको decant करना है. What is decant? ट्रांसफ़र करना है वाटर को from one beaker to the another beaker, right? So when the heavy insoluble substances such as sand sinks to the bottom of a solvent, then by pouring a solvent into another storage area, the water will pour and the sand won't be able to catch up as it is too heavy. हम लोगों ने क्या कर देना है? इस वाटर को सिंपली ट्रांसफ़र कर देना है फ्रॉम वन बीकर टू अनदर बीकर. एंड डू रिमेंबर नॉट टू ट्रांसफ़र द होल ऑफ द वाटर, बिकॉज पहले वाले बीकर के वाटर के नीचे तो सैंड पार्टिकल्स थे. थोड़ा सा वाटर हम छोड़ देंगे जिससे कि ओनली क्लियर वाटर इज डीकैंटेड टू अ सेकेंड बीकर. Let's see to it once again. So the process of obtaining clear liquid by pouring a solution from a container in order to leave the sediments in the bottom of the original container is known as decantation. Decant का मतलब आपने वाटर को एक कैन से लेना है और दूसरे कैन में डाल देना है. जिस वाटर में इम्प्योरिटीज़ नीचे सेडिमेंट्स की तरह सेटल्ड हैं उस में से क्लियर वाटर दूसरे बीकर के अंदर ट्रांसफ़र करना है. सो रिमेंबर decantation कैन बी डन ओनली वंस sedimentation had already been done. Is that clear? Students, let's see the third method. The third method is a filtration. It is a process in which we use a filter paper to remove the insoluble impurities. We generally filter the groundwater before drinking because it may contain some impurities. You know what is the process of doing this? Here we use a filter paper and a funnel. I'm just going to show it. So this is a funnel which is fitted with a filter paper. And when we put the water into it, impurities remain in the filter paper and we have the filtrate here, that is the fresh water or the clean water. So this is a process of filtration where we can remove the impurities from the water. So dear students, you might be clear that sediment is a process in which we leave the water content for some time and the heavier impurities get settled down as the water can be purified easily. And after sedimentation, we do the decantation, when we pour the water slowly into another container so that the impurities get separated. And this process is called decantation. And one more step is there, and that is filtration. Filtration is a process in which we use the filter paper to remove the insoluble impurities. We generally filter the groundwater before drinking because it may contain some impurities. So dear students, you should remember that there are three methods through which the insoluble impurities can be removed from the water. And they are the sedimentation, you have the decantation, and finally you have the filtration, right? So these are the three methods that we use to remove the insoluble impurities from water. We had already discussed them in detail. Now, dear students, you should be knowing that there are some soluble impurities also. You know what is soluble? Soluble that can be mixed very properly. और वो हमारे को दिखाई भी नहीं देता. So impurities that can be dissolved in water are called the soluble impurities. And the examples are salt and any other chemical. They get mixed in the water very easily. So now, bache, what could be done to remove them? So we have two methods to remove the soluble impurities. One is boiling and other is chlorination. So what is boiling? Boiling is a process in which we heat the water for around 20 minutes. Once we have heated a water for 20 minutes, we leave it aside for getting cold. And then we can use this water for drinking purpose. So ये एक simplest method है for the purification of water. बच्चे एक और मेथड होता है जिसको हम बोलते हैं क्लोरीनेशन. क्लोरीनेशन इज अ प्रोसेस इन विच वी एड क्लोरिन इन द वाटर टू किल द जर्म्स. क्लोरीनेशन के अंदर हम लोग क्लोरीन डालते हैं पानी के अंदर, जिससे कि हम लोग जो जर्म्स हैं, जो माइक्रोब्स हैं, जो हमें दिखाई भी नहीं देते, माइक्रोस्कोपिक वे से दिखाई देते हैं, तो उनको हम किल कर सकें. सो बच्चे, यू शुड ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, वाटर शुड बी स्टोर्ड एंड हैंडल्ड वेरी प्रॉपरली. और जिस वेसल में हम वाटर को स्टोर कर रहे हैं ना, इट शुड बी वॉश्ड रेगुलरली एंड इट शुड बी प्लेस्ड इन अ कवर्ड वेसल हुज वॉल्स शुड बी क्लीन, राइट. और अगर आप एक वाटर को किसी भी टैंक के अंदर कवर करके रखते हो तो इट शुड बी कवर्ड, द टैंक शुड बी कवर्ड एंड द टैंक शुड बी क्लीन्ड ऑल्सो, नॉट डेली बट आफ्टर सम फिक्स्ड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. दिस इज अ प्रिकॉशन दैट वी हैव टू फॉलो. अगर आप प्रिकॉशंस को फॉलो नहीं करोगे तो बहुत सारी वाटरबोर्न डिजीजेस भी हो सकती हैं. इज दैट क्लियर? सो डियर स्टूडेंट्स, सी, दिस इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ बॉइलिंग where we put the water in a vessel and we boil it for around 20 minutes. And this is a process of chlorination. Chlorination के अंदर हम लोग क्या करते हैं? We boil the water for 5 minutes, right? And after boiling the water for 5 minutes, we add the bleach to the water. We stir it thoroughly and then let it stand for 30 minutes. And then you can use this water for drinking. This is a process of chlorination. So this ways we can overcome the soluble impurities from the water and purify the water. So dear students, one more method through which the impurities that is soluble can be removed from the water is known as distillation. Distillation is a process by which a mixture is separated by heating a solution and then condensing using a cooling tube. I have discussed about evaporation and condensation earlier. So distillation के अंदर ये दोनों steps आते हैं. पहले हम तो evaporate करते हैं, फिर evaporation के बाद हम उसको cool करते हैं जिससे कि condensation हो जाए, and then we have the water droplets again. So बच्चे, the liquid that is collected is known as distillate. So dear students, let's discuss about the distillation in detail. So distillation is a separation of constituents of a liquid mixture by vaporization and then again condensing the vapor into liquid. It involves the change of state from liquid to vapor by evaporation, then again to liquid by condensation. So two steps are involved, evaporation and condensation together. So what all things we require? First of all, we require a thermometer. Then we require a distillation flask. This is a flask. We require the solution here. This blue color is a solution, which is a seawater mixed with impurities. Then we require a condenser where the condensation takes place and water vapor gets converted into the water droplets. And finally, we have a distillate here. So we require one beaker where the steps, like through condensation, the water can be collected. So this is a whole process. It involves two processes to remember. First of all, we heat the seawater. The water evaporates, and on evaporating, slowly through a condenser on cooling, the water droplets are formed. And then the water droplets get collected into this beaker and we call it a distillate. What do you call it? Distillate, right? So this ways we separate the impurities from the impure water and we get the pure water collected in the form of distillate. And the sea water that is saline has the salt and other soluble materials here in the main flask after heating because the water has evaporated from them. So, dear students, do remember the vapor continues into the condenser, causes the temperature of a vapor to decrease, and gas gets converted into liquid. And what is the end result? The end result is that we get the distillate here. And this distillate is a pure liquid, it is a pure water that is left behind. And so, where are the impurities? The impurities are left behind, and here we have all the impurities. I'm just going to show when the evaporation takes place, the water level goes down here. The water level is going down here. Is that clear? Once the water level goes down, bache, you know what is happening? Only the impurities are left. See, small amount of impurities you could be seeing it. So here only the impurities are students left. For the purification of the water we have three steps. This first step is known as sedimentation, second step is filtration, and third step is chlorination. So we have all these three steps with the help of which we can carry on with cleaning the drinking water or the purification of the drinking water. Separately, we have taken up all these steps. In sedimentation, the water is particularly left in big reservoirs for some time. जो वाटर को हम लोग कलेक्ट करते हैं ना कहाँ से टैंक्स वगैरह से उसको हम कुछ दिनों के लिए छोड़ देते हैं एज इट इज़ जो बहुत हैवियर पार्टिकल्स होते हैं जो कि इम्प्योरिटीज़ होती हैं दे टेंड टू सेटल डाउन. But then we come to the second step. In our second step now, we shift the water to some different tanks. And here, the water is impurities are being removed with the help of filtration. अब हम लोग फिल्टर करते हैं वाटर को एंड जब हम फिल्टर करते हैं तो स्मॉल सस्पेंडेड पार्टिकल्स आर रिमूव देन राइट. Then finally we move to the third step, and which is the third step? It is known as chlorination. And in this chlorination, we pass chlorine gas through the water, which helps to clean the and kill the bacteria. And this cleans the water. And now the water is quite fit for drinking. So the three steps that is involved in the purification of drinking water are sedimentation, filtration, and chlorination. So, dear students, though 70% of the surface is covered with water, but remember, only 1% is fresh water. So, always save water. Always care for water because it is